Beginning. The mission no Vorann wanted. Rhy paced through the docking bay of Vorann outpost Karzal, watching the human ship approach. It wasn't sleek, not like Vorann cruisers. It wasn't imposing, not like a Grawl dreadnought. It looked friendly. Blue markings, a welcoming silhouette, soft lights. Utterly unimpressive. A perfect match for the species piloting it. Her orders were clear. Host a joint research expedition to survey a newly discovered planetoid. The Concord wanted collaboration. Rhy privately suspected they wanted to keep humans out of trouble. They were notorious for stumbling into crises. Still, diplomacy mattered. Her warriors lined up behind her as the ship's ramp dropped. Out walked one human. One. A man wearing standard Concord engineering gear, a duffel slung over his shoulder, and a relaxed smile. He raised a hand. Morning. Or whatever time it is in Vorann local. Rhy squinted. You're the envoy? The scientist? The entire human team?
Yep.
Lieutenant Mark Hale, Survey Corps. But you can just call me Mark. He looked like he had slept well, eaten poorly, and had no idea he was about to spend 3 weeks on a volatile planetoid. Rhy let her disdain show. No backup? No bodyguards? No armored exosuit. He shrugged. Didn't need. Rhy's warriors exchanged looks. Weakness, she thought. Carelessness. Proof of how little humans understood danger. Out loud, she said, Do you require assistance carrying your equipment? Nah, I'm good. He hoisted a crate twice his size with one hand. Her eyes widened, not because he lifted it, but because he did so casually, as if unaware the crate was intended for 2 Vorann workers. She quickly masked her reaction. Impressive, she said stiffly. For a human. Mark chuckled. That sounded almost like a compliment. It was not. He only smiled more. She disliked him instantly. Middle, the planetoid that shouldn't exist. The journey to the planetoid, catalog designation Xerthus, 9B, took 2 days aboard the Vorann exploration vessel Spear of Dawn. Rhy kept interactions professional. Mark apparently did not understand the concept. He asked questions. He wandered the ship. He talked to her warriors as though they were friends. And worst of all, everyone seemed to like him. Even Rhy's lieutenant, a stone-faced brute known for breaking sparring partners, warmed to him. Mark repaired a jammed coolant line in under 6 minutes. He deciphered a mineral reading their scanners had struggled with.
He joked.
He made everyone at ease. Rhy didn't appreciate that. Warriors should be disciplined, not entertained. By the time they reached Xerthus, 9B, she was desperate for solitude. But the universe had other plans. As the team stepped onto the rocky surface, Mark crouched to inspect a bright green mineral vein.
Whoa.
This isn't natural. It is a rock, Rhy deadpanned. Not this rock. Mark touched it, then pulled out a scanner. This is trace isotopes we normally only see around, oh boy. Explain. Artificial acceleration. Like something forced this planet to form way faster than it should have. Rhy frowned. That was not possible. Planets didn't just pop into existence. Then the ground rumbled. Her warriors prepared weapons. Mark placed a hand on one.
Wait.
Listen. A low vibrational hum pulsed through the soil. Not seismic. Not natural. Mechanical. A warning echoed in Rhy's skull. This world is wrong. Moments later, metallic tendrils erupted from the ground like roots growing in reverse. They wrapped around stones, equipment, even one warrior's leg. Fall back. Rhy roared. Vorann soldiers fought, but the tendrils adapted, reshaping like liquid metal. Mark yelled, Don't use plasma. It'll destabilize them. Rhy ignored him. A plasma blast tore through the tendrils, and the entire ground exploded. The shock wave threw her 30 meters. She struck stone. Pain lanced her arm. Before she could stand, a shadow fell over her. A massive metal structure rose from the earth. Not a creature, not a machine, a hybrid, a planet core intelligence, a living construct. Its voice reverberated through the air. You do not belong. Tendrils launched toward her. Her warriors were pinned. She tried to rise. And then Mark tackled her aside just as a tendril stabbed into the ground where she'd been lying. His face was inches from hers. We need to move, she snarled. Get off me, weakling. You're welcome. He dragged her behind a rock outcrop as another blast shook the terrain. The revelation. They regrouped in a small crevice as mechanical growths tore through the landscape. Rhy struggled to breathe. The plasma shockwave had fractured her ribs. Mark glanced at her.
Hey.
You're hurt. I am fine.
Sure.
And I'm the Emperor of Mars. He rummaged through his pack. Vorann medkits burned human skin, so he always carried his own. He snapped open a small injector. Rhy recoiled. Do not touch me. Too late. He injected the stabilizer into her side. Pain eased instantly. Her vision sharpened. How? Human medtech. We design it for fast fixes. Comes with the job. She studied him. Sweat trickled down his brow. His sleeve was torn. His hands shook slightly. Are you injured? A little. Doesn't matter. His voice held a quiet steadiness she had not heard before. Then he said something that stunned her. I think this planet wasn't formed. I think it was grown. She stared. Impossible. Not with the right bioengineering. Something or someone built a Hive-Mind world, and we just woke it up. The idea chilled her more than the injury. Why attack us? Maybe it sees us as parasites. The ground quaked again. Mark peeked outside. It's adapting fast. If we don't shut down the core, the whole planet might self-destruct. And we will be trapped, she finished. He nodded. This fragile, joking human now looked terrifyingly calm. Rhy, he said quietly. We're not walking out unless we do something smart. She stiffened. You presume to give me orders?
No.
I'm asking you to trust me. For the first time, she did. The descent. They moved through a maze of metal roots and shifting stone. The deeper they went, the hotter the air grew, like stepping into a star's lung. Mark paused at a cliff's edge. We jump. That is a death fall. He grinned. Not with this. He clipped a line to her armor and stepped backward off the edge. Rhy's heart lurched. Humans, she realized, didn't fear death the way other species did. They feared not trying. She followed. They descended into a crater glowing with molten circuitry. The core pulsed like a colossal mechanical heart. Tendrils rose like serpents. Mark whispered, When I say run, run. That is your plan? You'll like the second half better. The tendrils charged. Run. They sprinted across a narrow ridge. Heat scorched the air. Rhy's lungs burned. Mark reached a panel embedded in the stone. He slammed his hand on it. Nothing happened. He hit it again. Harder. Still nothing. Tendrils closed in. Rhy drew her blade. Human, your plan has failed. No, it just needs. A tendril pierced through his thigh. He screamed, but held the panel. Rhy roared, cleaving the tendril apart. She grabbed him by the waist and dragged him behind cover. You are badly injured. I've had worse, he hissed through clenched teeth.
How?
Humans are fragile. Mark laughed weakly. We break easy, but we get back up hard. He pulled a tool from his belt, an ancient ugly thing. A manual override spike. You distract it, he gasped. I shut it down. She stared. You will die. He winked. Let's find out. The human charge. Rhy leapt from hiding with a war cry that shook the core chamber. Tendrils streaked toward her. She severed them left and right, her blade glowing from heat. Mark limped across the ridge, gripping the spike. The core noticed him. A massive tendril rose, ready to impale him. Rhy screamed, "Move!" But he didn't. He planted his feet, gritted his teeth, and met the tendril head-on. It slammed into him, throwing him backward, but he held the spike high. As he flew, he drove it through the control panel. The chamber erupted in light. Mechanical roots convulsed. The core shrieked in a voice like tearing metal. System reset. Then silence. The entire world stopped moving. Rhy dropped to her knees, chest heaving. Mark lay motionless. Her stomach tightened.
No.
Not like this. The ending, the bond forged in fire. She dragged herself to him. His breathing was shallow. Blood seeped through his suit. She lifted him into her arms.
Mark.
Wake up. No response. You cannot die. Not after proving yourself. Still nothing. She felt something unfamiliar tighten in her throat. Emotion. For a human. Her warriors found them minutes later, responding to the seismic collapse. They froze at the sight, Rhy cradling the wounded envoy. Prepare emergency extraction, she barked. Mark underwent surgery aboard the Spear of Dawn. Vorann doctors were skeptical. Human physiology was unpredictable, but they did everything. Rhy stayed outside the medbay door for 8 hours. Finally, the doctor emerged. He will live. She exhaled slowly, silently. When Mark woke, she stood at his side. He blinked. Did we win? She crossed her arms. We survived. Good enough. Silence lingered, until she spoke. I may have been incorrect about humans. You're saying I'm not weak? You are still small, she said dryly.
And odd.
And overly optimistic. But weak is not the word. Mark grinned. I'll take that as a compliment. It was not intended as one. Still taking it. She couldn't stop the small huff of laughter. Later, when the Concord asked for a report, Rhy wrote, "Humans break easily, but their spirit does not bend, and in the face of death, they rise." Afterward, she requested one human be permanently assigned to all future Vorann missions. Official reason: intercultural cooperation. Unofficial reason: she simply preferred having Mark around, because whether she admitted it or not, she no longer believed humans were weak. She had met one, and he had proved her entire species wrong.